few times, or a similar video. It's been requested that I do my camping gear. Tonight, we're going to be showing you my hiking setup. Now, this is for like day hikes. This isn't staying overnight. So any hike between like an hour and like 10 hours is kind of what this bag is geared towards. So you're not going to see a sleeping bag, you're not going to see a tent or a mattress, like a blow-up mattress or anything like that. But there are similarities between the bags that I carry for the day hikes and then for the overnights. So yeah, I'm going to have to mess with the camera angle and setup a little bit to see what's going to work, because my backpack for like a little longer day hikes is pretty big. So we're going to try to get it to fit into the frame. So bear with me, and I'll be right back. And we're back. So what I have here is the bag that I predominantly carry with me on hikes and camping, and I even carry this bag when I'm traveling. When I'm traveling with the family or when I'm traveling on my own, this is the bag that I typically carry. It's just a really comfortable bag, and it fits a lot. Now, I will say that when I'm doing day hikes, I use this camelback, like short day hikes, if I know I'm not going to be out for either I'm going local, within a really close proximity to home, or I know I'm not going to be out for very long. Now, I have used this, did some hiking in the Grand Canyon a few years back. This camelback, great bag. I think it's their 18, it's the Cloud Walker 18. So I think that's 18 liters maybe. Can't remember, but it carries a camelback. It fits quite a bit. Sometimes I do carry this because it's quite a bit lighter. But if it's like an 8 to 8+ hour hike, I prefer to carry this other bag because I can fit more food and water and etc. in it. So let me set that off to the side here. And we'll dive in to this Trail 40. So this is an REI Co-op. Not sure if you guys can see that. This is an REI Co-op bag. I would stand it up, but then it comes out of the frame. So just on the surface here, I carry a couple carabiners. This bag has some tie downs, so I can put either the tent, so it's got tie downs at the bottom and tie downs at the top, so I can get a tent and I can get a sleeping bag in here pretty comfortably. But we're not focused on camping right now, we're focused on hiking. So a couple carabiners in case I need to hang stuff off the back. That comes in handy. So this front pouch is just a nice mesh pouch. And what I carry in there, and I've put this in different pouches, right? I go back and forth, is one of these Petzl Tika, the Petzl Tika headlamps. So I love headlamps. I think it comes in handy even if you're not doing a night hike. Always bring one of these. I've done multiple times. Started a hike too late. I'm not always an early riser, so on the weekends, when I get out to hike, sometimes I get started too late, and then when I'm coming back down the mountain, it gets dark on me. And I've had that happen to me before when I didn't have this, and you have to use your phone. It's a pain in the butt. Highly recommend that you always carry a flashlight, even if you don't plan on being in the forest, or you don't plan on being on the trail for a long period of time. I would still, you never know when something's going to go wrong. You never know when you're going to get, slowed down, and, maybe you twist your ankle and you need to take a break. Maybe you get winded for some reason. start having, medical stuff, and you need to sit down and take a rest for a couple hours, and then next thing you know, it's getting dark on you. Highly recommend. Always keep a headlamp or a flashlight. Okay, let me shift this. We'll get into this top pouch here. So there's just a little carry pouch here. That's a Shady Rays bag, but that's not glasses, not sunglasses. It is a compass. Another item that I always recommend you carry on you is a compass. Again, even if you're only doing a 2-hour hike, the amount of people who go into the Smoky Mountains here in Tennessee just on a day hike and then take a wrong turn and get lost is scary, really. Scary to think about, right? So be careful. Be prepared. Even if you're only going out for a little bit, just be prepared. It doesn't take much. So compass. I always have some Kleenexes, right? Always carry Kleenexes on me and wet ones, because you never know. You might fall down, get your hands all dirty. You need to wipe off. Maybe you're just sweating profusely and you forgot deodorant that day. Wipe your armpits off. That kind of thing. So wet ones, always in my bag. These are iodine tablets for water. So guys, in the way I've learned from watching countless YouTube videos on thru hiking and survival is your most important things are going to be shelter, water, food, right? Shelter, water, food. So you'll notice that I have at least multiple sources of water in my bag, or multiple ways to get a source of water. So this is one of them. These water purification tablets. I believe they're just iodine tablets, but they're called aqua tabs. I've never had to use them. I've tried them, but I've never had to actually use them in a situation. But again, I'd rather be prepared than sorry. A deck of cards. This is more so for camping, but I do always just keep them in here just because. And I know a lot of you guys, if you are into hiking, like through hiking, you're gonna be like, you've got a lot of unnecessary weight. Yeah, because I'm not through hiking. I like having a bag of cards. If we stop, take a little rest, I can play. Even if I'm by myself, I can play some solitaire on a rock or something. So, cards, and that's it for that top pouch. Let me zip that one back up. Let me stand this up if I can without it falling over. Okay, so I got 2 zipper pouches that ride on my waist. In this one is probably another extremely important item, in my opinion. A map. And this one happens to be of the Great Smoky Mountains. It's just the normal little trail map, and I found this one to be almost just as accurate as the ones. These are just the dollar ones they give out in the gift shop or the welcome center. Most of the trails are on here, and it's relatively accurate for length. It's actually pretty accurate for length and location. So yeah, I always have a map. Typically always try to get a map of where I'm hiking. Most of my hiking is done in the Smokies, so I've got a map for that. If you're going out for more than a couple hours, you have zero idea of where you are, grab a map at the visitor center. There's usually always a visitor center. Grab this map. It could be, it could save your life. It could save your life. Okay. A lot of people just go out winging it. Oh, I'll find my way back. And then they get lost, right? Okay. Pouch number 1 here. A lot of meds. I always go out. I hate getting out there and then I get a headache or, you get stomach troubles and you're not prepared. So I get migraines, so that's my migraine medicine. This is stomach medicine. That's Tylenol. And I've got a lot of Tylenol. I've probably got way more Tylenol. I just threw this in here. It tends to stack up if I can't find one in my bag and I accidentally buy a new one. Ibuprofen. Eye drops. Sometimes your eyes get dry out there, especially got allergies. So just like medicines, I have a lot of medicines in this pouch. Got some lady medicines, because sometimes I'm hiking with my wife or, other females in my family, or maybe even female friends. So I got those for them. And then, allergy. So I believe that's it for that one. In this one, I've got another flashlight. I think I showed you guys this flashlight in my everyday carry. So it's typically in my everyday carry. It comes with me on hikes as well. So I have 2 light sources. And actually I've got more than 2 light sources. You're going to notice repetition here. Repetitiveness, I should say. Just like to be prepared. If this one happens to crap out, or I drop it, shatter the lens, or the batteries, I forget to change the batteries, it dies, I've got other options. Chapstick. Definitely a lifesaver. And then fire starter. This is a ferrocerium rod. Oh jeez. Gonna start a fire. that sparked a lot more than I wanted it to. We're good though. And then it's got paracord on it over here, right? Paracord. I think there's like 10 feet on here, which is cool. Cool to have. Good to have. A good item to have in a survival situation. Usually when I'm hiking, I'm thinking survival, and you guys are like, you're paranoid. Fine. I have no problem being paranoid, because when something does happen, I will most likely survive. And I don't say that to be cocky. I say that just because I've got the necessities. Whistle. There's a whistle built into this bag. I love this bag, by the way, guys. REI gets a bad rap for having high prices, but I still love REI. I get most of my stuff there for like gear. So I got my boots there. Those are REI Co-op hiking boots. Love them. They were like, when I bought them, they were I think they were advertised as not needing to be broken in, and they really never did. It was awesome. First pair of boots I ever had that I didn't have to break in. Okay, so that's it for the outside of the bag. That's pretty much one thing I forgot to grab. I always carry a hydro flask in here as well, full of water. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. I usually always carry a hydro flask. Sometimes I'll have like a Gatorade or something I'll put in that side. I use one of these mostly for trash. Usually I'll have a little baggie, like a gallon baggie for trash. So yeah, let's get in to the main bag. So, kinda still on that water discussion. This does house a bladder. So I always have a bladder in the bag. This is a 2-liter. I think I do have a 3-liter that I usually carry with me on longer hikes. It's either a 2 or 4-liter. This was just the only one that it was the easiest one for me to grab coming up here. But I always have a bladder in this bag when I'm going on a hike. Plus I have the hydro flask in the side full. So that, and then I've got the iodine tablets. And I think I have one other source of, or way to get water in this bag that I'll show you all. So let's go. I did not want to open it that way. Sorry. Hopefully that's not too loud. Hopefully that's So this one's got, as you just saw, that zipper opens up so you can get into the side, but it's also got these zippers that come down from the top, so you can actually pull this whole bag open. I'm not going to do that per se, but, well, maybe I will. At least a little bit. At least a little bit. So, here's where the bladder hangs down in this pouch. Here's the hook for it, and then it's got the pass-through up here somewhere. I can't remember where it's at. It's on one of these sides, comes out, goes down the arm. So I also always carry a knife, a fixed blade knife. This is in addition to, I typically carry a Leatherman when I'm going on a hike. That way I have like a utility knife, but I always want to have a fixed blade for fire starting. Now this is the Light My Fire by Mora knives. I've showed you all this before in my fixed blade knife collection. If you haven't checked that one out, please go back and do, because that was a good one. A lot of you liked that one and really enjoyed it. But this has another fire starter within it. Again, repetition. A lot of ways to start fires. A lot of ways to get water. I've got different, double up a medicine, stuff like that. So, knife. Great. Great for doing kindling. Great for doing a little bit of chopping. Great for starting fires. Yeah. So knife, always have fixed blade knife, and then I have typically a pocket knife or a Leatherman. In this pouch, I also carry a Right in the Rain. A Right in the Rain. You guys have seen my little orange Right in the Rain pen that I use that works with this pad. But just, you never know. Write something down, have a thought when you're walking. Maybe you see something and you want to be sure that you remember what you saw so you can find your way back, any number of things. Maybe you see a friend on the mountain and make a friend on the mountain and want to write their number down. Right in the Rain pad. Okay. Next, another water source, an easy water source, a life straw. And I do have some Sawyer filters as well. I really enjoy the Sawyer filters. I have used those. I have gotten to the, there was one day I was hiking with my wife and we ran out of water halfway through a 10-hour hike. So we still had 5 hours to go, roughly, maybe 4 hours to go. Ran out of water. Because we were both just chugging it for some reason. It was a hot day. I had my Sawyer filter with me, and we were able to get water from a stream and stay hydrated all the way down. Which, it wasn't a life or death situation, but it was nice to be able to still get water and not get a headache from dehydration and all that jazz. So, Sawyer straw. Life straw. This is a life straw, which work great. I've tested these out. I've had a few of them. They were great. Rain poncho. You never know. If I see in the forecast that it's going to rain, there will be a rain jacket in here. But a rain poncho. Glow stick. So another source of light. These are more so. I don't crack these out unless it's like an absolute emergency. 2 of them. 2 light sticks. And my last source of fire. I'm sure you guys have all seen these. These are those windproof, and they're the UCO stormproof matches. So they're windproof, waterproof, basically just weatherproof, and then they seal up in here. They got a striker on them. So this is my last way to start a fire. If all else fails. If I can't get the ferro rod to work for some reason. But those things are so dependable. You saw how easily it sparked. These are cool though. That's it for that pouch. Here, this one you guys are probably going to have some interest in. My medical pouch pouch, my medical 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 pouch. I'm not going to dive into this and show you guys everything that's in here, but this is basically a full medical kit and trauma kit. Excuse me. A full medical kit and a full trauma kit. So you can see just on the surface, Israeli bandage, tourniquet, gloves, and then there's a whole bunch of goodies in here. Ways to pack wounds, medicine, a whole slew of things. If you guys have interest, let me know down in the comments if you would like to see a video of me taking a deeper dive into this medical kit. I've got this one and a few others that I could show you guys in a series of videos, but I don't want to do that unless it's something you guys are interested in, so let me know down below. On that same note, before I go any further, if you guys are enjoying the video, if you wouldn't mind smashing that like button, that helps out the channel immensely, as you all probably already know. And yeah, drop a comment down below. Let me know if you want to see this in a video. Let me know if there's anything you see in this video that you think I should be carrying that I'm not carrying. Or let me know what your guys' setup is. Let me know if you guys have done any hikes lately, or had any reason to put together a hiking bag like this. So, VanQuest. This is a VanQuest, and I bought this. It was pre-made, but I did add to it. I did add some stuff to it. Oh, my backdrop. Okay, next, let's hop into this pouch so I can show you guys this. I'm not going to take all the cords out, but there's a bunch of charging cords in here. And in this pouch here, I've got a battery bank. So an Anchor battery bank. This thing is stellar. I've used it a few times. It goes on pretty much any long distance trip with me. It goes on most hikes with me. So this is the Power Cord 2 10,000. And I think it gets a few charges of a cell phone out of it. That's really all I need for right now. If I start doing content out in the woods, that'll change. I'll have to get a bigger battery bank, most likely, so that I could charge videos and or charge cameras and such. But yeah, this thing's super helpful. I got cords to charge my iPhone, because you want to have that iPhone. The last thing you want to happen is to get out there in the forest and lose all the ability to contact anyone. Now you lose cell service, right? But as far as I know, the new iPhones have the SOS that is by GPS. Now, one thing that I'm dying to add to this bag, and I've been talking about it for a while to my wife, I just haven't pulled the trigger on it, is one of the InReach minis. I would love to get one of those. They're a little GPS unit and an SOS unit, so if you fall, twist an ankle, get hurt, get attacked by a bear, any number of things, you press that button, and hopefully help will be on the way. I don't have that yet. Let me reiterate, I do not have that yet, but I would love to add it. Socks. I always have extra socks in the bag, just in case if you'd either get really overly sweaty, or maybe you are getting a blister, you need to double up your socks. That sometimes helps. Or your feet get wet. You can switch those socks out. Last thing you want to be doing is hiking with wet feet. That stinks. Excuse me. So yeah, socks, and usually I always have an extra pair of clothes in here, like a full set, depending on the season. And if I think it might get a little colder or not, maybe there'll be a hoodie or something in here. I already mentioned sometimes there's a rain jacket in here. I don't have that stuff in here now because it's not in here every time, but the socks are always in here every time. Okay. TB. TB. You get out there and Mother Nature calls. You gotta be able to wipe. You do not want to use use leaves. I know a lot of guys will be like, oh, just use leaves, just use leaves. Yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to wipe with your underwear and then leave them in the forest. That's not good for the environment, but also you are going to chafe so bad. Just wrap up a little bit of toilet paper, smush it down. It weighs literally nothing. Takes up a little sandwich baggie worth of room. Highly recommend. Okay. This is an interesting one that I've carried for a while. It's a SAM splint. It is a SAM splint. So when you and I haven't even unrolled it because I've never had to use it. But this is for if you roll your ankle, you can make a splint, right? Just like that. I don't know if you can see that. Just like that. Or you fall, you break your arm, you wrap it up just like that. Just like that. Just like that. And I do have medical tape in that bag that you could use to wrap this up. I think it's worth it. I mean, personally, I've never had to use it, but again, the amount of times I was actually hiking with some buddies that came down to visit a few months back, and my one buddy fell pretty hard, and hurt his ankle. But luckily, it wasn't a severe sprain or anything. He was able to shake it off and walk it off, and we didn't have to wrap it up or carry him out, but that's how easy it can happen. He's a young man, in good condition, and it just happened. It can happen to anybody. We were on our way down, and his toe caught on a rock, or on a, it was a rock or a root or something, and he just went crashing down. So that's stuff you got to think about. Everybody always thinks it can't happen to me, won't happen to me until it does. Okay, attacked bivvy. This is an emergency reusable sleeping bag. This is your shelter. You could also use the poncho as shelter technically, but this is like a Mylar blanket type. Heat echo technology reflects up to 90% of body heat to prevent convection, losing heat to cold surface. So this is windproof, waterproof, lightweight. In my opinion, worth it. Again, I've never had to use it, but it's your shelter. This is your shelter if you get into an emergency situation. Okay. This one I do not carry hiking. It just happens to be here from when I was traveling last time. This is a CPR. I'll show you guys. This is interesting. It's a CPR mask. So this I usually carry traveling, like on airplanes and stuff. And you guys are probably wondering, I'm pretty medical oriented in my kids, because I have immediate family, as in my wife, who is a medical professional. So some of that stuff in that pack I could not use, but she can. And I could use it, but it's more so geared towards her and our ability to be able to help people. So I got this mostly not for my family. I can give my family CPR and feel comfortable, doing actual mouth to mouth. That doesn't make me uncomfortable with them. They're my family. This is for other people. But I guess if I am going with other people that I'm not comfortable doing that with, like hiking with other people, we'll take this. I think the last time I went hiking, I actually took this because I was like, what if I run into somebody on the trail? I've ran into multiple older people who should not be hiking the hikes that they're hiking. They're gassed. They're out way too far. They're walking with their walking sticks, and it's like one of those situations. Are you sure you're okay? Are you sure you don't need me to call anybody? Because I can. And then I have let the rangers know that they're out there before. I have had that happen. And they were fine. The rangers, it just allows the rangers to anticipate. Okay. The last thing. This is the last thing, y'all. this bag is this little pouch. And there's one other thing that's not in this bag that I typically carry, and you're gonna understand what that is once I open this pouch. Yeah. So for those of you who are into boom cannons, boom sticks, pew pews, that's what this is for. I usually always have a concealed carry on me when I'm hiking. There are bears where I hike. They're just black bears. I'm not scared of those. That's not really why I carry. It's more so, sounds terrible to say, people. You know, we've all heard those stories of hikers being assaulted. A lot of times it's women, but you never know. Hikers being assaulted by just crazies, kooks. Sometimes it's easy for them to prey on people who are out in the middle of nowhere all alone. So that's more so why I do that. I know that's very controversial and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm not gonna judge you for what you think about it, but that's just what I do. It gives me a little peace of mind, and also, really, it can be used for the things that I mentioned, right? I mentioned, that's one other thing that's in here. I mentioned shelter, water, food. I got shelter, I got water. Usually I have a bunch of snacks in here, but my alternative, if I get stranded, I have the pew pew to be able to, out in the forest where I hike, you know, I've run into multiple black bear, I've run into squirrel, I've run into rabbit, I've run into deer, snakes, all that stuff. Now, that's obviously worst case, right? If I'm out there and I'm stranded and I have to hunt. But again, better safe than sorry. The 3 keys of survival are shelter, water, food. Shelter, water, food. So, I have those for that. And yeah, usually I like to take this big bag because I can fit more snacks in it. So I'll take beef jerky, I'll take protein bars, I'll take, if you guys have ever had those little honey waffles, the little, I think they're called stingers. Those things are fabulous. Sometimes I'll take some candy, you know. My sugar gets a little low. I'm not diabetic or anything, but if you start feeling a little lax on energy, eat a little bit of candy, a little bit of chocolate, boosts you up. Especially when you meet the peak of a mountain that you're hiking, it's always good to have a reward when you get up there. The reward is obviously the sights and everything, but you are going to be exhausted just getting up there. So to have a little pick-me-up, I think is always good, in my opinion. But that's pretty much it, guys. That is pretty much it. I can't think of anything else I carry in here that I didn't show you all, other than the clothes, the food, the snacks, and the pew pew. Really, and the water bottle, which I just left sitting on the steps when I came in here. But yeah, that's my hiking gear. That's my hiking setup. On my person, I usually wear boots, hiking boots, high ankle ones, because I don't like to roll my ankles, so I tie them down real tight. I wear, typically, depending on the weather, hiking shorts or hiking pants, obviously. T-shirt with, again, it just depends on the weather. Usually I have like a flannel or something on if it's cold. And then I usually always have a hat on. I usually always wear a hat out into the forest. Just because the ticks get ridiculous sometimes. So I recommend, if you're going on a long hike, just put a hat on. Don't worry about doing your hair. And then on my person, I'll obviously have my keys, my wallet, my knife, pocket knife, The flashlight that I already showed you guys will be on my person. And yeah, I think that's really about it. And sometimes I do wear a watch. It really depends. I've gone back and forth. Sometimes I'll wear a Apple Watch so that it tracks my steps and how far I've gone and everything. And then sometimes I'll just wear a regular watch so that I know that it's right and the time's right and don't have to worry about it. But oh, and then obviously my cell phone, which I use the All Trails app in addition to the map. So I've got a twofer, right? I'll download the map and All Trails, so I've got it on my phone, which is very handy. But then I'll also have the physical map, and then I'll also have the compass. Redundancy. A lot of redundancy in my bag, whether it's necessary or not. That's just what gives me comfort when I'm out there hiking. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I really do. Again, if there's anything you didn't see in here that you think should absolutely be in a hiking bag, let me know. Let me know what you guys carry in your hiking bags when you do go hiking. If you do hike. If you have hiked, I'd like to know where. Where have you guys hiked? What's the coolest hike you guys have done? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We would love for you to be a part of this family, a part of this community. We're hoping to do big things. We're hoping to keep chugging along into the future. So, again, thank you all for joining me, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.